Welcome to the Her Story Circle podcast, the podcast that brings you the extraordinary tales of everyday women who are changing the world. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and I'd like to acknowledge traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. I also like to pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging. Every week, we dive into the lives, challenges, and triumphs of women from all four corners of the globe. We're here to inspire, enlighten, and connect, sharing stories that uplift and empower. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and join us as we explore the incredible journeys of women shaping our future. This is Her Story, where every woman's voice matters. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Her Story TV and the Her Story podcast. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating woman. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, how old you are, and share your story with us today.
Hi, everyone. I'm so glad to be here. I'm Lynn Britton, and I live in New Jersey in the United States, and I am a young 55 years old. I'm also the mother of two amazing children. They're grown-ups now. My daughter is 23, my son is 21, and my son has autism. And this is really why I'm excited to be here and share with you a little bit about my story. I've always wanted to help people have a career in human resources. I love leading and coaching and training and connecting and helping people be the best versions of themselves. And then when my son actually was born and he was developing beautifully, but around the age of 18 months, he started to regress into autism. That threw me for a loop, not only as a mother and all the plans I had for my family, but as a professional and what I'm used to doing in terms of connecting with people and helping them thrive. And that just wasn't happening with him. So we did a lot of things that I think a lot of parents do, is we did as much research as we could. And this was actually before the internet was as robust as it is now. So we did a lot of reading and sought out lots of doctors, flew all over the country, spent literally hundreds of thousands of dollars over 5 to 6 years looking for the thing that would really help him. And everything helped a little bit. But as I was going to work one day, knowing I'm helping others be the best versions of themselves, I turned around and I saw this beautiful blue-eyed, blonde-haired boy. And I realized he's the one who needed me the most. And so I made a really difficult decision. I quit the job that I loved, and I decided to homeschool him. I brought him home, brought him out of school, and we found a program. It was called the Sunrise Program, SON for sun. And we created a homeschool program based on that model. And that really changed my life. I realized I had been looking to everyone else to help him. And the person he really needed the most and who could help him the most was me and my husband and our community. And so thankfully, we all rallied around him, and we ran this program. I learned how to kind of connect with him, how to get him to look at me, how to get him to interact with me. And when we started, this is big, because when we started, he was in the corner of the room, eyes glazed over, didn't even know I was in the room with him. And by the time we ended, he is a very social and very interactive, et cetera. So we really were able to help him cross that bridge back into our world. And during those 8 years, I recruited a team. We had 30 people working with him. And if I look back, I think, how could I have done that? But really what it took was just being open and honest and asking for help and going to my community to friends at church, at the bank, in the grocery store, neighbors, and seeing who wanted to help, who wanted to learn how to connect with him and how to help him grow. And before we knew it, we had this robust program running, and we started doing fun activities like car washes, lemonade stands, a field day. We ran a summer camp in our backyard just because I wanted to give him those social opportunities that I knew I couldn't find in the community the way I wanted. So I learned that's okay. We can create it ourselves. And through those opportunities, we saw him, my son, William, really learn and grow and start to step into his potential. And when he went back to school, I was really happy. 8 years later, he would watch the school bus. He would watch the kids in the neighborhood get on the school bus, and I knew he wanted to go. And that just filled my heart. He was ready. So we enrolled him in school, and he was a very different child than when he came home. He was engaged. He could listen and follow direction and has amazing eye contact, really showing off all the things that we helped him learn. When he went to school, I realized I needed to share the things that I had learned. When we started this program, I knew nothing. I didn't know anything about autism. I didn't know how to connect with him. I didn't know how to be a mother to him. And that's all I wanted to do. And so I said, I want to help other people, other parents, learn some of these simple strategies, simple techniques, just to get them to look at us. Like even something as simple as holding a pen or a crayon. He loves crayons, and saying, hey, do you want a crayon? Notice I'm holding it near my eyes. Guess what? He's going to look at my eyes because he wants that crayon. Or walking in with a really silly hat that's bright and colorful because, oh my gosh, that gets his attention. So bringing some simple strategies to and helpful tips to parents so that they can feel less overwhelmed and learn to connect with their kids and help them thrive more is what I wanted to really do. And so I actually created an organization called Navigate Autism. I created a TV show because I wanted to also reach parents in a fun way. And I was on Facebook Live for about 1.5 years, just doing some coaching tips every week. And most recently on my website, navigateautism.com, I've put what I call pod tips. I love podcasting. I think it's a great way to reach people, and they can access it, listen to it when it's convenient for them. But I created these 5-minute podcasts. So I call them pod tips, and there are 30 of them, just about quick hits about what you can do to inspire eye contact or social activities, or how important perspective is, and how that changes us as parents and how we feel confident and comfortable and empowered, or even judgment and how judgment can get in the way. It's something we all face, but really how powerful that is. And when we can learn to drop the judgment we have of ourselves or our children, how much better we feel, how people around us change and show up more, and how we are able to be more successful interacting with our kids, etc. So there are these wonderful little pod tips that I have on my website now. And I created that just because I'm trying to find different quick ways that parents can easily find support for themselves and for the children. There are many things that I've learned, but like I said in the beginning, one of the things I learned the most is that we as parents are our kids' best resources. Very often we're overwhelmed. We're juggling so many things: doctor's appointments, school, IEP meetings, our own work, our family, etc. And we may not realize how resilient we are, how impactful we can be, and how we can use our own skills and abilities, even for 5 minutes a day, to really make an impact in our kids' lives. And that impact changes our kids, and it changes us. And one of the things, especially during COVID, I've heard so much from parents is, how do I really connect with my kids? We're together all the time. We're forced together, or there's our lives have been turned upside down, and I don't feel like our interactions really mean anything. And I say, well, if you think about it, you're with them. Just carve out a short period of time, 5 minutes, 5 minutes a day, maybe more, but 5 minutes at least, and just be present. Put away the cell phones. Don't think about laundry. Don't think about what you're making for dinner. Just be present and in the moment. And when you do that, it feels like 20 minutes, but when you do that, you really connect. You get to know each other, and you get that feeling that you're looking for, and your kids do too, and you both feel seen and heard. And so that's the start of building longer connections, but really for what it is that most parents and kids are looking for. So what I try to do now is I participate in many webinars and webcasts and podcasts, as well as, like I said, making these pod tips just so that I can share whatever information I have that can help other parents. I was also an autism life coach for a while, but my focus and passion is about education, helping others, and offering of myself when I can. I'm also a board member for a nonprofit organization that is focused on building group homes for our children with disabilities when they get older. And so I think it's really important when we can to give back, and that's why I'm here to share my story and hopefully help other parents of children with autism or other disabilities to really feel like they have the ability. There's someone there, or there are resources there to help them make a positive impact in their life.
Thank you so much for sharing this amazing story. You know, it's a real source of inspiration for mothers, parents out there who are struggling with kids with autism. Now, if I could take you back to the younger you, that young woman who was confronted with an issue, she had no idea where to start, and you could go back and give yourself 3 nuggets of wisdom based on what life has taught you, what would those 3 nuggets of wisdom be?
Oh, that is a really great question. The first thing that comes to my mind is don't try so hard, and which leads me to don't judge yourself. It's we have there's this internal human struggle that's kind of like human nature, which is we want things, and that gives us focus and direction and goals and milestones and helps us accomplish things in life. And those are great qualities. I work with that all the time in human resources and companies. But what easily happens, and so quickly happens, is that want turns into a need, because I need it now. I want it so badly that I need it now, or I put expectations on it. And when we don't meet those expectations, the judgment comes in. We don't meet the expectations, and then we get disappointed, and then we get stressed and overwhelmed, etc. And so if I knew then that it's okay, that life is a circuitous route. It's not nothing, very few things are linear, including our children's learning, our career, our life. So have fun. So I think it's, don't need it so much today. Have fun, enjoy the process, enjoy the journey. You hear this a lot, I think, but I do believe it's true that life is about the journey. And it's really, not something I would think I would ever have thought I would say years ago, because I was so wrapped up in the fact that my son just got a diagnosis of autism. I almost wouldn't believe it. And I think two things. I think number one, being in the field I am in and seeing that people always have potential and can meet it. I had seen his potential. I still believe there's more for him to reach. And so I would not give up. But the second thing is I realized about myself is I told myself I will never stop being angry about what happened to him, because that will motivate me. And if I had believed these things I'm sharing with you now about don't get caught up in the need, I wouldn't have believed that. And it took me years of holding on to this heavy anger, and you name it. I was angry at myself. I was angry at doctors. I was angry at the food that we were eating. I was angry at the environment. I was angry at everything I could think of. And when I dropped that anger, I felt so much better. But it took someone really wise saying to me, Jane Lynn, do you think if you drop that anger, you will stop doing everything you possibly can for your son? And when he said it like that, it was like an eye-opening experience. Like, of course not. I'm never going to stop. And so it was a conscious decision for me to allow myself to stop carrying that anger. And in that, I realized it doesn't mean I have to stop wanting it, but I just have to stop putting this negative energy into it. And so judging it less, stop needing it so much, and enjoying. And I guess the third would be enjoying each day. And ironically, the power in that is so much bigger than I ever could have realized. Because when we do those things, when I did those things, when I know other parents are doing those things, we relax more. And guess what happens? Our children show up more because we give them the space. They're not feeling that energy. Our kids are really sensitive in many cases. And so they're reacting to this negative push that we're putting out there. But when we're relaxed, enjoying life, not just our kids, everyone around us is enjoying life. But then that's where I say the magic happens. That's where the connections take place. That's where we all learn and inspire each other to continue to learn and grow.
What I feel you're really hitting on that makes so much sense. You talked about being fully present. A lot of times we worry about things we have no control over. We think of things that may or may not happen, and we go into the future, or we go into the past, like you were saying. Was it the food we were eating? What caused this? You're looking for something in the past to the point where you fail to be present and in the moment. Every single minute with that child is what's really important, right?
Oh, yes. Yes, and I can expand on that if you want. Definitely. And there's so many benefits to being present and in the moment. One is when we're in the past, we're thinking about all the things we should have done, could have done, would have done, and then we get that anger, that resentment that I was mentioning earlier. And then when we're in the future, we're fearing things, really wasting our time for something that may not take place. And when we're having those negative emotions, we're not able to think clearly because we're so, stressed and uptight. It's just our physical nature. But when we're present and we can be in the moment, it's fun. It's uplifting. It's like the person I had a friend I worked with. I loved her. She's the kind of person who would leave for the airport 30 minutes before the flight left and still make the plane. Why? It's because she's like present. She's enjoying life. She's not worried about anything. She's just going through, right? And I think that's why. I mean, there are obviously other reasons, that probably universal things. But being present is comfortable. I really think it allows us to unlock our creativity. We are more observant. And in terms of if you're really wanting to connect with a child who is not in that same space at that moment, when you're present, they feel more seen and heard, but also you're observing things. You're noticing those things. And those are the things that you can use to help your child. So I'll give you an example. None of us in life really want to will do much of anything unless we want to do it. So in other words, someone says, hey, Gertrude, let's go to a movie. We're going to go see this new sci-fi. And you're like, I hate sci-fi. You're not going to go. But if you love like a nice romantic comedy, you'd be like, yes, I'm going. Right. So that would be your interest. So if I'm watching William and he's like taking a pen and like going like this, I'm like, okay, he likes rhythm. He likes drumming.
Wow.
Right. And so I'm trying to connect with someone who doesn't care about social connection. So I
Yes.
might go get some spatulas and start drumming, or I might get some pens or drumsticks even, and watch and observe. And I actually did this, and I saw him kind of look at me. I'm like, whoa, I just got to look. I got to glance,
Oh,
right? How
wow.
did that happen? So
Yes.
using that wonderfully beautiful feeling place of being in the present moment allows us to be more in tune with others around us, pick up on those motivations, things
Yes.
they are interested in, and use that to hook in or offer activities, things that they might enjoy that might build a connection for us. So there's a lot of great things about being in the present.
I read a book once called Welcome to Holland. This is a book that every parent who's challenged with a child with special needs should read. It's about a woman who says she was preparing for her pregnancy and it felt like she was going to France. Packed her suitcase, was ready for the birth of this child, and then the baby came and the baby was disabled. And it felt like she had got to an airport and somebody said, "Welcome to Holland," instead of "Welcome to France." And she had to learn a whole new language, a whole new way of being to be able to communicate and work with her baby. It's a book that I recommend to anyone with special needs children. It's like you're saying, it's just learning a new language, a new way of communicating. And the more present you are, the better you're going to be at being able to help your child. So now let me take you into the future. If time was an illusion and your past, your present, your future could exist in the same timeline, and you could teleport into the future and have a conversation with a 100-year-old you, what would you say to this wise woman who's led you that far?
If I were to have a conversation with the 100-year-old me, I would say, congratulations. Uh, I think it's so important that we remember that we work really hard and we accomplish so many things, and that praise is very important for us to recognize all the things that we do throughout our life. Sometimes I don't realize it myself until I look back maybe 10 years and I say, wow, we ran that program for William and look how far he came. Or, wow, I created a TV show and I was able to help and reach millions of parents, helping them learn simple strategies. And that's important because there's so many things like we want to accomplish, and if we get hooked in that need, we might forget to say, you know what, you did a good job. You did a good job. So I think congratulations would be what I would say.
All right, so let's finish our interview with you telling us what has this experience done for you as a woman and as a mother?
What I've learned as a mother is how important it is to really understand that our kids see and hear things differently than maybe we say it or think it or know it to be, and that's okay. To take a minute and really communicate with our children when we can, openly, honestly listen, even ask, how are you interpreting this, or how are you doing in the situation? So for an example, my daughter, who doesn't have autism, daughter knew that he needed help 24/7, but she still felt second best and still felt like everything we did, our whole life was centered around him. Even though much of our life was centered around her, it's just that's how she perceived it. So that's important to take a step back and openly, honestly communicate with our kids and really understand that their perception is important and true because it's how they're living their life and how they're seeing life. And that helps me be a better mother, understanding where they're coming from.
Thank you so much for this enlightening interview. I'm hoping that there is a mom out there who's faced with this challenge, can now see clearly. Sometimes when you're in the middle of it, you can't see the wood from the trees. So thank you for sharing your story. And thank you to everybody who's tuned in today. The Her Story movement is attracting some phenomenal women on the planet, sharing their stories to uplift, inspire, energize, motivate somebody else. And that's why we do this. So thank you again, Jane. Have a fantastic day.
Thank you.
Bye for now, everybody. I'll be back again tomorrow with yet another amazing guest. Enjoy your day. Thank you for tuning into the Her Story Circle podcast. I hope today's story has inspired you to believe in the power of our stories and the difference you can make in the world when you use your voice. I'm Gertrude Mache, and it's been an honor to share this space with you, where voices from all walks of life come together to weave a rich tapestry of diverse perspectives. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us share these stories with more listeners. Follow us on social media by looking for the Her Story Circle podcast for more updates. And join us tomorrow for another episode filled with courage, resilience, and empowerment. Remember, your story matters, and together we're building a stronger, more inclusive world. Until next time, keep making her story.